Welcome, everyone. It's great to have such a large group here. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm Robert Killen. We're going to do some introductions and everything. I just want to start by welcoming you, thanking you for being here, and thanking Ariel for reaching out and sort of spearheading this collaboration, which I'm very excited about. And we're going to have a really fun and hopefully slightly challenging 8 weeks. And by the end, my goal for you is that you will have greater clarity and confidence around the business that you are wanting to start. Those are my themes: clarity and confidence, and it should be great. So before we officially start the slideshow, Ariel, did you have anything you wanted to say?
Well, and also greater clarity on a business that you already have also, because I know some of you have existing businesses. So it'll be great for everybody.
Yeah.
But no, I'm excited. Here we go. I'm so glad you all are here. Yay.
Excellent. You will have chances with a large group like we have here. We're not going to be able to take any time and do like round robins where everybody introduces themselves. That's just not going to work in this situation. Over the next weeks, we will come to know each of you, and we will be doing some small group work, so everybody will have an opportunity to communicate and share. We're just not going to be able to do it as a plenum, as a full cohort, but we look forward to getting to know all of you and your offerings as we move along. So let me go ahead and share.
And I will be fielding questions. So anytime y'all have questions, just put them in the chat and I'm here for you.
Okay, I'm going to have to change my, give me a second here. I'm just going to have to change my plan because my things didn't come up for me. So is everybody looking at Startup Bootcamp Welcome?
Yes.
Excellent. I am going to spread this out so that I can see all of you here, at least most of you, and we'll get underway. All right, as it says here, we are very excited to help you grow. And as Ariel pointed out, whether or not you're just starting a business or you have had a business. I know I saw a couple names on here that I know have had businesses for a number of years. So if there's any, if there's any hidden agenda in there, I'm going to be wondering about that because I know a few of you here have significant credits already as business owners. So thank you for joining us. All right. This is what we're gonna start with just an overview of the program. We've got 8 weeks to dive in. I want to kind of give you a sense of what we are about. We're going to start with a quick introduction of this partnership of RAIN and SBDC and how we're working together. We'll do some quick introductions. The Business Built Simple framework, which is the model that I am using, that we will be using in this course, and then just a quick description of how to get the most out of this overall. So let's start with this partnership. It often comes up with both Ariel and myself and our teams, where somebody will say, well, what's the difference? Why would we go to you or her? And I will tell you that there are things that we both do that are very similar, and there are some things that are very different. And we've got different histories. I'll start with just a quick introduction of SBDCs and how we work, and then Ariel will fill in about RAIN. But SBDCs have been around for about just a little under 40 years nationwide, actually a little over 40 years nationwide, a little under 40 here in Lane County and Oregon. There are 67 SBDC networks around the country. We cover every corner of the country. The Oregon SBDC network covers the state. A little point of pride for us here at Lane is that when the SBDCs were launched by the federal government back in 1980, the expectation was that they'd be attached to the university systems. But in Oregon, we only had 2 universities at the time, and they were really close to each other in one corner of the state. And in Lane County, a couple of our economic development professionals got together with a state representative and said, hey, why don't we attach SBDCs to the community college system so that we could cover the whole state? And they actually took that proposal to the SBA, and the SBA gave a big thumbs up to that. And the Oregon Network was born, and it was started right here in Eugene. We are the first of the Oregon Network's centers. And there are 19 of us around the state. So there are 19 different SBDC centers. We provide free and confidential consulting to business owners at any stage, from just thinking about it to wanting to get out. And we've got a team of experts that we can tie you into if you have specific topics, including global trade, cybersecurity, capital access, funding, market research. We've got a really robust program. In addition, we offer up classes on a la carte topics, which could be marketing, could be understanding your financial statements, as well as foundational programs, which should help a person get their business off the ground and then provide increasingly complex and deep training over time. At the top end of that is our small business management program. And I don't know if Joe is here yet, but Joe has actually taken small business management. Oh, and Jarl's currently in that course. So that is either 1, 2, or 3-year cohort program for be the best they can be as business owners and managers. Our next cohort will launch in September. You can reach out to me if you have any questions about that. So that's the SBDC. Ariel, tell us about RAIN.
Awesome. Thanks, Robert. Just so you know, your internet does like lag a little bit and it'll like catch up. Does everyone hear that, or is it just me? Because it could be my internet. No, everyone hears that? Okay. Just so you know, Robert, while I'm talking, you can switch your internet situation. Awesome. So I'm from RAIN, and we stand for the Regional Accelerator and Innovation Network. And we actually have a similar founding story where we started out of the universities, U of O and OSU. And we were helping new technologies come into the world through startup programs similar to this one. But then Florence called us, Florence out on the coast, and they were like, hey, you're doing all this cool stuff in the cities, but what about in rural? So we actually shifted, and now we serve 100% rural communities. And there's someone like me stationed in each community to help support the local businesses. And we also have some entrepreneurs in communities now that we've hired who are entrepreneurs who actually live in each community, which is super awesome, as support. So we have folks stationed across the state, and we do programs, educational programs. We do one-on-one mentorship, and a lot of amazing events, workshops, and so on. And similar to Robert, we do help with capital access as well, and many other things. So we're here, we're partners. We love working together. It's super exciting that RAIN and SBDC get to collaborate yet again on something so cool. And we're really stoked to see so many faces tonight. So my role will be support. I'm going to jump in, maybe say a few things here and there. And yeah, please reach out to me. You have my email and questions in the chat. So thank you, Robert.
Excellent. Thank you, Ariel. And I do want to acknowledge, for those of you who've been around the startup communities, the economic development communities for a decade or so, we haven't always played well together. That's just a reality. And what I'm really excited about is that over the last couple of years, with Ariel and Caroline being such great partners and encouraging partnership among the different entities, it does nothing but help out all of you. So I'm really excited that we get to do this together. I think it's a great sign for the future. So a little bit about us. I'm not going to read all of that. I'm the SBDC director. I've been the director here for 2 years. I was with the Springfield Chamber, both on their board and as staff for about 5 years before that. I have an extremely varied career. The first decade of my professional life, I was in graphic design and branding. And then after that, I moved into finance. I was a commercial banker and branch manager at a couple different banks. During the Great Recession, I left that and started doing some nonprofit work and really focusing on ways that I could help small businesses, either directly working with them or in support organizations like the Chamber and here. And that's what I just love doing. I love helping business owners have those aha moments where they can make real change and improve their odds at success. So that's a little bit about me. And then Ariel, I think you're next.
Awesome, thanks. Yeah, so I started my career in San Diego where I was working at an organization that was matchmaking startups with investors. So it was sort of like hippie kid goes to Wall Street, Silicon Valley type story. And I was in boardrooms listening to why investors invest in companies. And it was super interesting. I was there for 3 years and then I came back to Eugene about 4 years ago and my family has a bulk foods business. So I know a lot about family business and succession planning and what it's like to be a youngster working with your folks. And then I branched out and was part of the founding team of a hazelnut milk startup, which was really cool. Unfortunately, we failed, but that's also part of the game. I guess it's street cred. And now I work full time at Rain, where I get to support amazing businesses like you all the time. And, you know, it's super inspiring and I love it. So, yay.
Hey, excellent. And it's always fun to work together. So now it's your turn. So I'd like everybody, if you are comfortable, just put a couple words about what you're doing in the chat if you can. And then we can get a sense of who is here in this room. We actually know who's in the room because we got all of the registrations, but as a group, I think it's kind of nice to share that. So just take a minute or two for that.
Grand Ridge Events from Vanita. Welcome, Heather. Yeah. Keep putting it in the chat. Jennifer from US Bead Warehouse in Florence. Nice. Ski Bums Garage. Very cool.
Jarl is cool. No doubt about that.
And there's always so much to do.
Kylie with handmade candles. I love that. Landscaping. Reverence Karate Do. It's such an inspiring business. We'll learn more about him, I'm sure, over time. Excellent. And now it's coming in. So, and we'll be able to share that. You'll be able to save that if you would like to take a look at who's in the course between now and the next week. You can do that as well.
Yeah, and new folks, go ahead and add who you are in the chat if you just joined.
Hey, Ariel, this is Richard Dreiling.
Yeah, hey, Rick.
I'm not really sure. How do you add something to the chat?
Oh, perfect. Yeah, we have some maybe new Zoomers. So it's different on each computer, but in most cases, there's sort of like a control center with a bunch of little icons, and there should be a chat button. And sometimes it's at the bottom, sometimes it's at the top. Sometimes there's like a more button with 3 little dots that you can click on. I don't know if you see that.
Let's see here.
If you can't figure it out, Rick, I will have a one-on-one Zoom with you and we'll do a Zoom one-on-one training. If anyone else needs that, let me know.
So I'll just keep piping in.
Okay,
right,
perfect.
Sounds good. Thanks. Excellent. Well, thank you for that information, everybody. That's wonderful. And we look forward to helping you all move forward. All right. So this course is built on a model, a framework that we created at the SBDC here at Lane called the Business Built Simple Framework. And it came out of it was a response to our traditional mode of education, which was steeped in, well, tradition. It was steeped in that business planning, understanding your financials, understanding, marketing theory, almost as if you were going to a college and getting your MBA. There's a strong history of that type of education, and there is value in all of that education. That being said, there's also the reality that the vast majority of businesses get started with no knowledge of anything about business, except they want to be able to make a thing or provide a service and get paid for it. And that's it. And a lot of those businesses succeed. So what we did is we pared down to the absolute necessities. What does a business owner need to know with absolute clarity to give them the best opportunity for success? So in this course, I'm not going to be talking about profit and loss and balance sheets, because a business doesn't need to know that to get off the ground. Now, having been a banker, I will tell you that if you want to grow, and if you want to optimize your business, it will be really important to have financial literacy, to be able to understand what those statements are telling you, but not to get off the ground, not to get started. To get started, you need to understand if your business idea is feasible, and I would recommend creating a cash budget, which we're going to do in week 5 or 6 or 7, something like that. So Business Built Simple, that framework, what I call the clarity framework, is built around 2 questions. The first one, can you sell your product or service in a way that accomplishes your goals? It's as simple as that. Can you do it? The first thing you have to identify in order to answer that question is, what are your goals? And that's what we're going to be talking about today. What are your goals for this business, or your goals in life? And again, that's what we're going to be working on today. Question 2, which will be the second half of this course, so weeks 5 through 8, is how will you do it? So once you get to yes with question 1, then you can worry about how you're going to do that. And that looks like this. So you actually all got a copy of this from Ariel just before class started, in the half an hour or so before class started. And this is the clarity framework. This is all we're going to be working on. Now, you're going to be taking more notes. There's work to get to answering this, and some of these you might choose to do C attached or something like this, but ultimately this is what you're working on. And it's broken up into 7 segments, which will be weeks 1 through 7, and 1 segment or 1 element per week. This week, we're going to be looking at success metrics. Next week, your business idea, the feasibility quotient, market research. Then in the following week, we're going to be looking, whoops, that's not what I wanted. Oh, I guess I did. So sorry, let me back up here. I was much more sophisticated than I thought. So success metrics, how will you measure success in your business? Business idea, what problem will you solve and how? Feasibility quotient, can your idea be executed profitably? And under market research, what is the need? What is the market need for your idea? Now, these seem like really simple questions, but I can tell you, and I'm sure Ariel will agree, after working with business owners, and this, for me, this came even when I was a banker, 20 years ago, working with business owners, the nebulous responses you get from even longtime business owners regarding these questions is frightening. Now, there's reasons for that, and we'll get into that. As humans, we don't like clarity, because with clarity comes accountability. So we are very quick to discount the numbers that come up, to discount any objective assessment of where we're at, and retreat back into our nebulous, cloudy thinking about our business, because it's more comfortable there. If it's cloudy, there's no accountability. So our job here is to embrace clarity, or as Jim Collins put it in the wonderful book Good to Great, to embrace the brutal facts, or confront the brutal facts of your business. So this is the first 4 weeks. And then starting in week 5, we're going to do a workflow diagram, which is answering the question, how is your business structured? Then we're going to look at marketing. How will you build your client base? And then finally, by when do you plan to accomplish what? That will be your action plan. In week 8, you are going to share your startup story. Whether or not your business is a startup, you are going to share your startup story with all of us. And that will be the one time where we actually hear from all of you. Fairly simple process. You're simply going to walk us through your framework. But if you are diligent here, you're going to have such a clear understanding of what your business, how your business is shaped and what you're trying to accomplish. You will be years ahead of others who are doing similar things. So to get the most out of this, first, participate. Again, we've got a large group, so we're not going to be able to do a lot of, everybody engaging, but we will have a lot of small group activity, and I hope you are participating in all of that. Commit to the framework, do the work, fill it out, ask for help from us. Don't be afraid. We've got a lot to cover, so don't be afraid to stop us if something doesn't make sense. Feel free to put something in the chat. If I'm not monitoring it, Ariel will catch it. If you want to say something privately, if you've got a private question, you can private chat either Ariel or myself. So don't hesitate to ask for help. And between sessions, we will both be available to you. And then connect with each other. If there's an opportunity for you to partner or to build a relationship with among each other here, do that and make use of that over time. It's one of the great things that RAIN has done that the SBDC does not have the same history of doing, is establishing these cohorts of entrepreneurs that learn to trust one another and then stay connected after events. And hopefully you'll be able to do that here as well. So that is us. And it looks like Ariel did put a copy of the framework. One of them is a fillable PDF. The other one is just a straight PDF that if you'd rather print it out and write on, that'll work better for you. And those are linked in the chat. Hopefully you can just click on those and pop right up. All right. Any questions before we move into the meat of it today? Nope. All right. Your silence means I'm doing a great job. Okay, just so you know. All right. So now we're officially welcoming you to week 1, which is about success metrics. Again, success metrics. How will you measure success? How are you going to do that? And you might be surprised by what we're going to get into, but I'm really excited about this one because as our small business management instructor Gary Smith told me, he says the first question he asks for anybody in his class is, what do you want to do in life? It has nothing to do with the business. So what do you want to do in life? Because your business ultimately is a tool to help you accomplish that. So let's go ahead and enter. This is unit 1A. We've got those 3 units. We're going to be talking. Oh, darn it, I forgot. We have 3 units about entrepreneurship. So a brief overview of what it means to be an entrepreneur. And then we're going to look at traits of successful entrepreneurs. And then we're going to finalize this with a dive into your goals, which is really the heart of what we're getting at today. So about entrepreneurship, first of all, know it is a worthy endeavor. Okay, my kids, I love my kids to death, but I've got my middle son. For every once in a while, I'll catch him say, those darn business people, and I have to get after him. Business is a worthy endeavor, and for many reasons, which we're going to get into here. So first of all, let me just ask you, just for a couple of you, if you want to throw out what you think a small business is. And you can put it in the chat as well. What is a small business, or what is small business?
Is it 10 employees or less?
I love the answer. Yes, and other answers? you'll probably be surprised by the official federal definition of a small business. 100 or less by Jarl in the chat.
How about something that only encompasses a small area?
Love that too. I love that too. Locally owned business that meets a localized need. Very good, Brendan. Really love that. And that's the answer that I would like to lean into. Being funded in part by the SBA, I actually have to think about the SBA's definition of a small business. And you might be surprised to know that according to the SBA, get back over here. According to the SBA, a small business is a business with 500 or fewer employees. Now, that doesn't really make a lot of sense, right? Because that's virtually every private company in our area would be considered small by federal standards. And because it's such an enormous number, as you can see, 99.9% of all businesses are considered small by federal standards. I actually don't think that that's really helpful for us, but there are some really good statistics or fun statistics that we need to know. First of all, this one, 66% net new jobs are created by what are referred to as small businesses. And that's a big number. Now most small businesses actually have no employees, but those who do tend to turn over, create jobs at a greater rate than larger businesses. As it says here, 80% of the 30.2 small businesses in the US have no employees. So if you're thinking, I don't have any employees, I'm just going to do it myself. Am I even a business? Absolutely. You are among the largest number of businesses in the country. 20% have paid employees. Then you've got, more startups than closures, which is always a good thing. Now that's from 2015. COVID has really messed up these numbers. So this is actually from the end of 2019, which is the last reasonable year we have. What I love, one of the things I love is that 8%, you can't read that well probably on your screen, but 8% of small businesses, 8 million small businesses out of those 30.2 are minority owned, which is a significant percentage. It's a much larger percentage than the population. And it's something for us to recognize, is that minorities tend to open businesses, small businesses, at a greater rate than non-minorities. So just something to consider and to think about as we're providing support for them. 9.9 million are women owned as opposed to 14.1 male owned. But I will tell you, and I don't know if this is true for you, Ariel, but for us, we serve more women owners than male owners.
Yep, same
Actually,
with us.
yeah, it's not a huge difference. It's definitely more than this. It's not, it's more than half and a lot more than is represented here. So I just find that interesting. Any questions about or comments on this before we move forward? Okay. All right. So there are a lot of reasons why small business is important for community, and I'm going to share some that are important to me. Economic growth. Okay, small businesses contribute to their communities in a way that larger businesses can't. Now, a large business can come in and employ a bunch of people, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's contributing significantly greater in the total economy because of the nature of larger businesses, which are often lower pay, and because it's all one business, a community can get pigeonholed into only providing a certain type of job, a certain type of benefit, because the large company takes over. In addition, innovation. So with more small businesses, you have more innovative ideas. You've just got more interesting things happening. So innovation is a huge contribution by small business. Job creation, as we already said, small businesses create more jobs. And then local interdependence. This is one thing I love, being from having been a chamber staff member and board member and now participant. One of the things that I love is that the locally owned businesses and smaller businesses, they tend to get involved in their communities in different ways. You can certainly get a company like Wayfair, who's here locally. They actually do a pretty darn good job of contributing to events in the community, and they ask their employees to volunteer. But it is a different dynamic than the local insurance company or the these local nonprofits, local martial arts companies who are actively participating and engaging with others in the community. They're creating this local interdependence. And you, as a small business owner or prospective small business owner, are stepping into that, which is really valuable. And then finally, and from a purely economic standpoint, the most important thing is cash recirculation. When you buy a product that is locally produced, a product with a locally owned company, a significantly larger amount of your dollars stay here. They stay local. And the easiest way to consider the opposite is when you make a purchase on Amazon. If I make a $800 purchase on Amazon, how much of those $800 stay in my community to be reused? Almost nothing. There's a tiny amount that goes to somebody who helped get it to my door. That's it. The rest of the money is now in some other community. But if I were to use that same $800 and buy something similar with a local company here, $500 or $600 are likely to stay in my community. So being a small business owner creates vitality and a resilience for a community in a way that large businesses simply can't. And then there's another question, which is, how does entrepreneurship benefit the individual? And there are a few different answers here. One, independence and autonomy. A lot of people want to start a business simply because working for somebody else isn't working for them, right? They just can't do it. They need to be in charge of their own path. They need to be under their own steam. Another is self-determination. That's basically the same thing. But so one is basically making your own way. I guess they're both pretty much the same thing. And the third one here is job satisfaction. So it is recognized that small businesses and the employees, not only the owners, but the employees who work with a smaller business are more likely to be satisfied with their job. Hey, Don, are you looking to ask a question? I just saw your hand in front of the camera and thought maybe you were waving. Okay. Yeah, chime in if you are. Or chat. All right. So those are different ways that entrepreneurship benefits the individual as well. So I would actually like to take a few minutes, and I'm gonna break you into groups. Because we got such a big group, what I'm gonna do is break you into smaller groups. I'm gonna stop sharing here of 4 or 5 each, and we're gonna take about 10 minutes. And I want you to talk about why entrepreneurship, why undergoing this effort, why owning a business is important to you. And so let me go to the breakout rooms and gonna create 8 rooms, assign automatically. And like I said, we'll take 10 minutes and yeah, just talk about why entrepreneurship is important to you. And then I'd like several of you to share out after you're done. So if somebody wants to take notes, that's fine. All right.
Bye. Have fun.
There you go.
Ooh. Magic. Weird. Some folks are not in a breakout. Does that mean we're in a breakout?
Well, we'll see what happens when they come back to their computer and they see they're the only ones left in class.
Oh, they didn't click on something?
Oh, my guess is that they just stepped away for whatever reason, and they'll still have the ability to join when they come back.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, no, they're definitely assigned a breakout. They just didn't click on anything. Yeah.
Got it. Zach, you'll need to click a breakout room. Same with you, Natalie. Same with you, John. Join a breakout.
So is this going as you wanted? Okay.
Totally.
Okay.
Wonderful. 39 folks. So fun.
That's awesome.
Is this your biggest cohort so far?
Oh, by far.
Yeah.
By far, yeah. My the first one was the largest of the Start and Grow group, and it was officially we had 17 signed up, but I would say we really had 14 and a half who really participated. And I think we've had 10 and 12 since then. So
Yeah. That's a nice set.
yeah, it works really well. We can have we can do more of the the full group, having everybody talk to everybody else, which but that's not necessary.
Yeah. Hi, John. You got to click a breakout room if you're interested. Oh, you're on mute. You're on mute, John. We can't hear you.
I would, but I don't really have much to say. I mean, I got into entrepreneurship simply because I lost a leg and I can't get a real job. So I have to do something else.
Wow.
I mean, I could get a real job from like McDonald's or something, but that's not in the picture.
Okay, John is so cool. He's making a really innovative bicycle tire patch.
Oh, wow.
So cool. He's out of Cottage Grove.
And I just patented it, and now I'm looking at how I can produce it and market it.
Excellent.
Yeah, it's a
Excellent.
pretty cool idea.
That is.
Yeah. So that's why I'm here, basically.
Okay. Okay. And Ariel, are you helping him connect to any startup, any like VC startup communities? Have you done any of that yet?
Yeah, I don't think he's quite ready at that point. I mean, it's getting
Okay.
close, but there's some. Yeah, go ahead, John.
I was tightened up with a lawyer by Ariel, and he is
Excellent.
now procuring the patent, but I had to find an investor to actually buy the patent. I mean, I make so little money.
Yeah.
So that's what's holding it up right now. And
Got
then
it.
after I got the patent, I mean, it's gold. I'm gonna see about how I'm gonna market it to people to produce and get my residuals,
Okay.
because that's the American way.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Robert, your connections would be super valuable. So
Yeah.
the more the merrier.
Yeah, so you guys, thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
And I would love to talk to you more about angel investors, that kind of thing at some point.
Okay. Okay. And we will be talking a little bit about funding later in the course. The angel VC world it's a pretty tight world. It's a fairly tight group, and there's some being done in Eugene with the Eugene Launchpad or Huge Launchpad, and then there are some other statewide efforts. There's some in Bend, but we can get you tied into some. We can get you tied into somebody.
Yeah, you've done it's been very helpful so far.
Good.
And I've showed it to some millionaire guy in Seattle, and he's all over it. But not having the patent totally, I'm not too geared up to deal with him yet.
Yeah, don't want to.
But any day now. Well, I mean, I have the provisional patent. I just don't have the real patent.
Yeah. Well, that gives you a pretty, as long as you move forward with it, that provisional gives you a pretty solid
Well,
guarantee.
it runs out in November, so
Okay.
I pretty much have to go right like now if I'm
Yeah.
gonna do it, because it takes a couple months to do it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I can't let it run out.
Yeah.
So if that fails, I'm gonna try GoFundMe and see what happens with that. I haven't given up yet. Put it that
No,
way.
no,
Yeah.
absolutely not. Excellent.
Robert, I just got a new computer and it's a little glitchy. And
Huh.
my keyboard just stopped working, so I cannot type, but I'm gonna join with my laptop. So,
Really?
very weird.
Wow.
I do not know what's happening. But yeah, I'm still here. It's all good. So weird.
You know, I got Paul started in one of our going into business classes. He was teaching, but I showed up at the beginning to get the class underway and to hand off to him. And I went to leave, and I swear I chose, the leave, but don't close the meeting. But it closed the meeting. And I didn't know, of course, because I was gone. I didn't know until about 25 minutes later when I looked at my email, and he'd sent me this email and said, "Hey, you shut down our class." So bad.
That's funny. Yeah, that can be tricky if you're the Zoom owner.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh. Hey, Zach, if you want to join a breakout, you're welcome to. I think they're still going for a few minutes, but you can just hang out with us. Okay, gonna join. I'm gonna be double Zooms. We'll see. what
So
happens.
can I go back to me?
Sure.
I've been trying to get the product made in Oregon if I could, because
Mhm.
I live in Cottage Grove, and one thing Cottage Grove needs is employment. I mean, there's none here. Well, maybe Warehouser, but like you were saying, that one industry takes over a town. That's all there really is.
Yeah.
And so I've been trying to put the industry in here, but I haven't had any luck finding Oregon investors. None.
Yeah. Well, I wish I could tell you that you just missed, but the numbers actually kind of support that. Investment. The most investment in venture capital in the state of Oregon is coming from California.
Oh, really?
Um,
Okay.
Yeah, so that's not an anomaly. That's actually a bit of a reality that you're looking
I
at there.
think it's kind of a hard reality because, like I said, one thing Cottage Grove needs is a great town, but it needs industry.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot of people that don't have cars that can't go to Eugene. They need to be able to find work here.
Yeah.
And
Do you
there just
have
isn't. Sorry.
do you have have you modeled out what type of manufacturing you'd be looking at, how many employees you might have? Have you done any
Well,
modeling?
in my head, I have, but because it's a patent, there are products that have never been done before.
Yeah.
So it's going to require specialized machinery, of which I have some knowledge, but definitely not enough.
Okay.
And so I've been thinking about, obviously I could go to China with it and probably have it made overnight. But then the problem is the next day it'd be on Alibaba cheaper than I could ever do it. And so that's why I've been trying to get it made in this country,
Yeah.
if I could.
Okay. Because there are some people like I'm going to go ahead. Go ahead, shut down the breakout rooms here.
Okay.
All right. So yeah, there are. If you have manufacturing that you believe you can generate, there is interest in that by all economic development parties. So like Melissa Murphy from Business Oregon, she might be able to put you in touch, but you'd have to be farther along in the process. You'd have to have some pretty firm numbers and probably some investment in place.
But how do you generate numbers on a product that's never been made before?
Well, that's where the investors come in. That's, investors come in at different, they call them tranches. They come in at different levels. based on the level of risk. You know, some people are willing to look at an idea and see potential in it and go, okay, I can provide some funding because in the event that this takes off as I think it will, I'm going to see a 50 times return. You know,
Right,
so they,
and I
yeah.
believe that's perfectly possible for my product. The
Yeah.
problem is I can't produce it fast enough or cheap enough by myself
Yeah.
to market it.
Yeah. Yep.
Anyway, I'll let you get back to your meeting.
All right.
And Ariel,
Thank you.
please call me if you can.
All right, everybody.
What's his product?
John, you want to share?
I have a patch kit. I redesigned the bicycle patch kit. And before the patch kits they had a tube of glue, and that tube of glue would dry up and leave the other patches in the patch kit useless. And so I invented a patch where every patch has its own glue.
Oh, cool.
And it is kind of cool. And the potential for advertising is huge on it too. I can customize them for bicycle companies, bike shops, anybody needs them.
Hmm.
And so it is a kind of cool idea, but I'm reluctant, as I said, to send it to China to get it
Oh,
made
yeah.
because I won't have it anymore.
Right.
Excellent. Well, I've got some ideas for you, but let's go ahead and continue through. So I'd love to hear out from, 5 or 6 of you on, why, what came up as why entrepreneurship is important to either you or somebody in your group. Jennifer.
I think a big one that came through for our group, we had Don Norden, Joe, I will slaughter your name if I try to say that. I'm so sorry, hun. And Jarl. But one thing that came up was the ability to be part of our community, to keep the money local, to have influence as far as everything from city council to just being there where we can help support each other in the community. So
wonderful. That's a beautiful answer. I love to hear that.
I think a common theme that came up in our group over and over was finding fulfillment in your work. Everybody that is doing something here, whether it's because of COVID forcing it or whatever the case might be, everybody in our group talked about finding fulfillment in what they're doing.
I love that answer too, Noel. Thank you. It's great to see you here.
We
All
had
right.
a lot of similar topic, but really what came out from the messaging in our group was we're all passionate about our arts and diversity and building our communities, whether it's culture or, opening up and broadening horizons for alternatively abled individuals, baking, artwork, whatever it may be. We all had a very common draw to why we wanted to be entrepreneurs.
Wow, that's inspiring. That's great.
Our group, I think, was about our kids, instilling good morals and values in our kids, showing leadership, teaching them life lessons, being able to spend that extra time with our kids. That was a big thing. Seemed to be a common denominator in our group.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Got one.
Yeah, Kylie.
Oh, hi. I think a lot of what everybody said, but also improving quality of life, right? Whether that means, limiting your commute somewhere or making your own hours or things like that. But also we got a little one who's interested in saying some stuff. But I think also with the uncertainty of the last year and a half, and people may be losing jobs or having decisions taken away from them, and having some time to rethink some things, following what you really want to be doing in life versus what you've already been doing or whatever way you've been directed, making a change that is something that's going to fulfill you and have that autonomy.
That is wonderful. That is wonderful.
I wanted to add onto that group. I think we were pretty well represented by the rural communities in Lane County, from the coast to Oak Ridge and around. So all of us were from a small community, and that's really where we want to be. So kind of looking at job opportunities to stay there and to contribute to those communities, we kind of have to do it on our own.
That is excellent, Stephen. Yeah, great answers. Great answers all around. Thank you.
We
yeah.
had a fun group, and a lot of it was basically was kind of at the end. And I'm already forgetting names. The beautiful young lady who's setting up her own clothing, personal control.
Yeah.
Wanting to be in charge of our own destiny and not being, answering to somebody else as a boss.
Excellent. Now, I will say, because this will come up later, one of the common reasons is to have more freedom, to make your own hours, and to just be absolutely candid. Starting a business, you get to set your own hours, but it might be 60 hours a week, at least to get things off the ground. Now, you have the ability to build a business that will allow you greater freedom over time. But as you start, do not expect that, on day one, you'll be able to succeed with 15-hour work weeks. It's just not how it functions. It takes time to get the business underway. Heather?
Yeah, I don't know if you picked the groups randomly or not, but it seems like you got everybody paired up just right. Our group everybody was all about sustainability, about doing something that, takes the terrible things that go on in the world that bring in our products or whatever into our own hands and finding our own stuff and yeah, so that was really great. And not pertaining to my business, but I also run a recycling program. So, we're all just in that sustainability.
Excellent. Well, I did not plan that, but sometimes it just works out. All right, let's go ahead and jump into our next unit. I can find it here, which is traits. What are your entrepreneurial strengths? And everybody has them. So where is it? Oh yeah. Oh, whoops, I'm going to have to re-share because I forgot to set up my share for video. I do that every time with this particular deck. So let's do this again. And are you looking at invest in your strengths?
We see your Google Drive, Robert.
Okay, well, let's stop that. Try that one more time. There we are. All right. This is Mr. Marcus Buckingham. Oh, sorry. This is not working.
On your strengths, leveraging them, and then managing around these. Why? 2 reasons. 1, just morally, it's going to feel a heck of a lot better for you to know that you.
I'm going to start that
so
over.
If you want to succeed in life, should you spend most time leveraging your strengths or fixing your weaknesses? If you're going to spend most time anywhere, spend most time on your strengths, leveraging them, and then managing around these. Why? 2 reasons. 1, just morally, it's going to feel a heck of a lot better for you to know that you are characterizing yourself by who you are, that you're trying to take who you are really seriously and contribute it. If you wanted to have a bad relationship with someone, you'd get into the relationship with them and go, look, I love you, you're perfect, now change. And many of us, when we spend time focused on our weaknesses, we're actually building that sort of relationship with ourselves. We're wishing we were different. You've got this kind of confrontational relationship with yourself. So the first reason to focus on your strengths is it actually builds a much more beautiful and much more generative and much more generous relationship with yourself. That doesn't mean that you don't try to leverage your strengths intelligently, that you don't try and figure out the best and most helpful way to contribute them. You do. If you happen to be really strong at being assertive, it doesn't mean you just shout at people all the time. It means you figure out ways to use your assertiveness intelligently. But at least when you're doing that, you are building an affirming relationship with yourself, which is pretty good. The second reason, though, which is interesting, is that you'll actually grow most, be most productive by leveraging your strengths. Doesn't mean you don't fix your weaknesses. At some point, you've got some things that might get in the way. You better just deal with them. But you don't grow most there. We know that you grow most in your areas of strength. You get exponential growth in your areas of strength, and you get incremental growth in your areas of weakness. Why is that? One reason is just brain science. We know you grow more synaptic connections in your head, where you have the most pre-existing synaptic connections. You grow most in your areas of strength. The other reason, of course, is that a strength isn't what you're good at, and a weakness isn't what you're bad at. A strength is what strengthens you, and a weakness is what weakens you. We know that because, frankly, there are some things that you're really good at that weaken you. There are some things you probably got them where you go, I'm great at this, but if I never had to do it again, it'd be a day too soon. That's a weakness. A strength is so much more appetite than it is pure ability. And of course, it's the appetite that drives you to want to do it again and practice it again and refine it again. And therefore, it's the appetite that leads to the practice that leads to performance. So leverage your strengths, manage around these, because you get, yes, it feels better, but you get a greater uplift in terms of performance and contribution. Unfortunately, you're going to get a lot of messages out there that tell you to focus on these and take these for granted. You're going to get it at school, you're going to get it at home, and you're going to get it at work. In fact, in many places at work, they will actually call weaknesses areas of opportunity, as though you will grow most over here. You're going to have to super withstand that and say, no, 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 I'll deal with these, but I will leverage these because I want to give more. It's not just to pat myself on the head, it's because I want to contribute more. Every one of us has unique strengths. Every one of us has unique activities we love. And every one of us will contribute more when we take those strengths and love seriously and then leverage them for the benefit of the world intelligently. So if you want to succeed in life, should you spend most time leveraging your strengths or fixing your weaknesses? If you're going to spend most time...
All right. Got to figure out the controls better. So that's Marcus Buckingham. Marcus Buckingham is well known from I would say about 15 years ago when he came out with a trio of books. The first one was called First Know Your Strengths, or First Discover Your Strengths. And he was one of the first people to come out with this philosophy. And that you know, it's not optimal to focus on what you do poorly, but to really understand what your superpowers are and really lean into those. And maybe it's just because I prefer to live in that space, but I really love this concept. And I think it works really well when we're talking about entrepreneurial traits and what you can lean into as you're launching your business, knowing that this is what you do well. And I'll share with you, I'll be very candid here. I'm the director of the SBDC Center here at Lane. We are attached to Lane Community College, so I have reporting to Lane Community College. I have reporting to Oregon, Business Oregon. I have reporting to CARES Act and that fund, and to the SBA. Right now, I'm in the middle of year-end or mid-year reports for 4 different organizations. That is not my strength. I am not the reporting guy. Can I do it? Sure. I was a banker. I understand how to put reports and budgets and all of that together, but it's not what I enjoy. It's not what feeds me, as Marcus Buckingham said. What feeds me is creating curriculum and teaching people and having conversations and turning on light bulbs. That's what feeds me. And so like it or not, I prioritize my time to get as much of that done as possible. And if I'm late on my reports, well, slap my hand. And they do. My hands are all red, but that's okay. I'm okay with that because I'm spending my time doing what is best for me and, frankly, what's best for you. So that's just me in this space. I've just put this slide up here. Again, you'll get copies of all of this or access to this, so you can check out Marcus Buckingham and the article where that video was pulled from and explore that a little bit more if you'd like. So you can do a search on your own for, you know, traits of a successful entrepreneur. Here are some of them. The courage, I'm not going to read all of these, but you can read these yourself. I want to say that I've actually had to kind of hold fast against what is a very common teaching that if you don't have these, you are not set up to be an entrepreneur. I simply disapprove of that concept, of that thinking, because I have known too many entrepreneurs with too many different types of people that are successful to be able to say, you know, only one works. It's just not true. However, that said, there are some things that have been proven to be beneficial. And the first one is this combination of passion for your idea, passion for what you're wanting to accomplish, and perseverance. And there was a study done which sort of proved that this worked, and it ended up being called grit. And so they've got this concept called grit. There's a wonderful book out there. I will put a link to it. It's by Angela Duckworth. Boy, this is a huge URL, but I'm going to put it in here anyway. I apologize. It's just silly. But there you go. Hopefully that gets you to Amazon, to Duckworth's book. Great book. And again, that has been proven to lead to greater success over time. And there is another one that's not even included in here, although financial strength is included in here, financial literacy is not. Now, I told you earlier, financial literacy, or understanding your financial statements in particular, is not necessarily critical to get a business off the ground, which is not why we're going to go into this deeply. That said, over time, you have a really hard road ahead of you if you're trying to optimize your business, if you're trying to get the most out of it, and you don't understand what your financials are telling you. So financial literacy is something to put on your, it's just to put on your professional development list as something to work into over time. So those are two things that I would point to those as success factors. But again, the rest of them, whatever works for you is fine. I didn't point it out, but in that big list, you had competitiveness and cooperation right next to each other. And, you know, so, you know, clearly there are many different ways to go at this. So there is a survey that I would like you to take. It'll probably take about 3 minutes. Let me put this in the chat. It is a much more reasonable link. This is a survey of entrepreneurial traits and basically how each of them relate to you. So I'd like you to take that, and then I'm going to try and pull up a chart and see what comes through. And there will be no names on it, so you don't have to worry about that. Let me stop sharing here. If anybody's done yet, let me know. I'm trying to see. You are? Okay. All right, I may need to go in here and revisit this chart. Oh, there we are. Okay. Drop this in here and file. Oops. That's not going to work. Back over here. Okay. All right, I am going to try and figure out. So I'm actually going to have to do a little work. I was hoping to be able to review this, but the labels aren't right, and I'm not going to try and fix that on the fly. So what I will do is I will fix that, and then we can review it next week. But I do find it interesting. We've got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Let me go in here. It looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So financial strength, passion for your idea, and commitment. We've got a lot of superpowers in there, which is marvelous. I questioned the financial strength one, though. I didn't expect that. So my numbers might be off. But so since we can't look at that, let's go ahead and just share either in the chat. Yeah, let's just share in the chat. Or if you want to talk about it, let's go ahead and get back to here. Let's go ahead and share in the chat or in or just unmute and share what you believe your entrepreneurial superpowers are. What is it that you can really lean into? Excellent. Communication, financial strength, acceptance and empathy, creativity, passion and communication, grit. Love that. So something to think about as you're identifying this is, how will you actually prioritize this? How will you lean into this as a business owner? So I think for some of them, like Jay has said, a willingness to work hard. That's great. So that needs to be evidenced, right? It can't just be something that you think about. It needs to be evidenced. And I'll give you an example, sort of a failing example of my own. I'm actually quite, I can be quite competitive. Now I'm focusing on cooperation, but I can be, in my professional life, I have been very competitive. But that said, I have not used that competitive spirit to market myself, market the program better since I've been here. It just hasn't come up. It hasn't been where I've put my time. I'm comfortable in that space, but I have not evidenced that. And my program would benefit more if I were more competitive in my thinking and my approach. Now I would have to separate this because I'm also wanting to, and in fact, it's incredibly important to me to facilitate greater collaboration among all economic development partners, which is why I'm so excited about this event. But there are areas where I could show that competitive nature and the organization would benefit from it. I just haven't done it. So it's not enough to identify these traits that are yours. You got to figure out how to implement them, how to really focus on them. And when you do, it's going to feel great because as you've identified, it's something that you love. It's something that fuels you. So, just think about that. How can you make the most of your superpowers? Fair enough? All right, so I am going to stop sharing for just a second. So I appreciate the comments about collaboration and inclusivity. Really do appreciate that. It's nice to see that recognized. I'm sorry that I don't have that. Chart to show you. It worked really well until you all started putting answers in, and then it just sort of fell apart. So don't quite understand that, but I'll fix it and we can look at that at another time. So now it is time for Unit C, which is goals. But before I dive in, because this is really where we're going to be talking about what is important to you and that true measure of success. So we're going to be spending the rest of the time really on success measures or success metrics. Is there anything that we've discussed so far that you would like to chat about, that you have a question about, because we really are going to be diving in more closely to a specific topic here? I am not hearing or seeing anyone, so we will go ahead and dive in. Hey, Ariel, as I'm getting this together, what is your superpower?
Oh, that's great. I think for me, creativity and leadership and education and enthusiasm.
Excellent. Well, we all see the enthusiasm, anybody who's been around you at any point of time, and I've been able to witness the rest, but great job.
Thank you, Robert. And actually, a weakness is reporting. Just like you, I'm also late on my reports. What can I say?
Yep, I guess that comes with our territory. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into unit. Oh, actually, let me ask before I do that. These are 2-hour segments. Would you as a group like us to put a 5-minute break somewhere in the middle? Or are you comfortable just, yes, I'm getting some yeses. Okay, this would be the time to do that. Let's go ahead and take a 5-minute break. We'll be back at 7:20. That'll be perfect. And we'll plan on that for the future, for the rest of the sessions. So 5-minute break, everybody, back at 7:20.
Goodbye. Come back.
All right.
Cool.
And that gives me more opportunity to listen to Strimson Farah.
Oh, nice. Here we go.
Thanks for the break.
You're welcome, Heather.
This is just making me want to get up and dance.
I'm not going to complain. Ariel, something that I've noticed that Google's, that Zoom does, when I move to a slide, Google slide with a video, the video screen with all of the participants, if I've got the gallery screen up, it disappears. And then I have to go in and show, I think it's, there's a link to show videos again, to show the video panel, which I have no idea why it does that, but it does.
Yeah, the glitches can be so random and very annoying.
Yeah.
There's a question in the chat for you guys.
What are your thoughts, Ariel? Will there be a Slack group for this session?
Yeah, we've done it in the past with other brain accelerators, and I actually almost suggested that, Robert, and I was like, oh, maybe we won't do that for this, but we totally could. Is that, Joe, is that something that you'd be interested in? Like just having more group conversation? And
I found it very valuable when we did it for RAIN, and plus I think it's a really good platform for business owners to use with their teammates or whatever, and to get more people involved with that type of communications. I mean, yeah, you kind of have to pay a little more attention and log on, but I think that it's a valuable resource for all ages. And I really liked how RAIN, you guys did your a lot of your accelerator stuff through that. But as long as like people use it, then it's valuable.
totally. Awesome. Well, we could set up a group Slack channel for this. That might be nice. And then
That'd be
yeah,
fun.
it's nice to just upload all the content there and just have it be more succinct. Totally. Thanks, Joe. Great suggestion.
Love
So
it.
I got it from Jennifer at US Speed Warehouse. Making connections beyond just our sessions here.
Tattletale.
All right, welcome back, everyone. And you all just disappeared again. So let me go back over here. There you are. All right. So unit 1C, this is the final unit for today, and this is really the meat of it. And this is how will you measure success? You know, we talked about, setting goals earlier, and we're going to talk about different types of goals here, because there are lots of different ways to measure success, but I am going to require one particular way to measure success, which we'll get to in a minute. Let me just double check here. I'm still optimized for video. I do have a brief video for you to watch here, and hopefully this one will start with the volume up. Nope. Sorry. I have this my apologies. There is a small item that is directly on top of the volume control here. So I'm going to try and change this so that I can get the volume up. Let's just watch this on YouTube.
Hi, I'm Nicole Hockley from Sandy Hook Promise.
Forgive
I
me.
know this is hard to hear, but it's important.
There we are.
And so it's not one or the other, it's both. And understand the role of money inside an organization. Money is fuel, and fuel is very important. I think money is there's nothing wrong with money. It's just we have to understand the purpose of money, right? So the company is the car, and money is the fuel. So I don't care how amazing your just cause is and how wonderful your culture is. If you have no money, you don't go anywhere. Like you might have bought the most beautiful car, you got no gas, you got nowhere to go. The purpose of a car is not to buy gas. The purpose of a company is not to make money. The purpose of a car is to go somewhere, and fuel helps you get there.
Right.
The purpose of a company is to accomplish something, to advance a greater cause, to contribute to society, and money will help you get there. Very necessary, very important, but it's not the reason we bought the car in the first place.
All right, so that's what I was trying to get you to. So agree or disagree? I have been a little surprised by the response to that video in prior courses, and I'd love to hear your thoughts.
I'll jump in. Big
Please,
fan
Noel.
of Simon and the golden circle and getting to the why of what we do.
Mhm.
I agree.
You agree. Excellent.
I agree. The money comes if you do the other stuff.
Excellent. I appreciate that. Who else? Thoughts around that idea? And it is okay to disagree. Noel, he can't reach you. So it is okay. Worst he can do is throw something at his camera, and that's on him. Anybody willing to disagree or further agree? No thoughts. I know there are thoughts.
I mean, there's thoughts, of course, sure. I personally agree. I mean, yes, no question. You need gas to make your car go. There's absolutely no question. You can't even argue that. I mean, that's just the reality. Unless you're an electric car, then you don't need gas. You need something else. But that's semantics. But in the end, I mean, it's your why is the most important thing. Why are you doing this? Why am I starting a crazy business out of my garage? Because I can, because I want to, because I want to build something bigger and better than myself. And this is the catalyst to get me to do the other bigger things that I want to do with my life. The business is almost insignificant to what I want to do with my life. So it's building this business so I can do those other things is my reason. So I totally agree.
Okay. So it's interesting that you agree with that response, because that's actually the same response that leads others to disagree. And the reason being is, and I point out that, we help people who are buying franchises, people who have absolutely no interest in the business that they're buying and starting. What they're interested in is building wealth for themselves over time. What they're interested in is retiring comfortably. If they're interested in buying that piece of property in 5 or 10 years, their interests are very much dependent on the business making money. So I think where some people disagree with Simon Sinek here, and not many people agree with Simon Sinek very often, but where some people would disagree with him here is that the way he describes this, it's all about the business, the purpose of the business, and the why of the business, which I love. And yet, I will say that some of you may be trying to build a business that is profitable because you have goals in your life, as you described, Jarl. You want the business to give you an opportunity to do other things, right? So, and there's nothing wrong with that. So while I will agree with Simon Sinek 99.7% of the time, in this case, I think he mischaracterizes he mischaracterizes the why as specifically business focused and not necessarily the why of the business owner. And I think that in most businesses, there are two different whys. And that's actually what we're going to get to here. There are business goals or business whys and personal whys. So a business goal might be solving a particular problem. We've got a tire patch business idea that solves a very specific problem. That's the why for that business. And it's a great one. It might be that you want to create jobs, and I don't know how many of you know this, but there are business owners that thrive when they can create jobs. They love to create that opportunity for other people in their communities. That's what drives them. That's what their entrepreneurial fuel is. For some, it is societal impact. We already heard from several of you regarding, why you're doing this, and it is changing society, making the world a better place. All of those are great business goals. On the other side of this are personal goals, which are retiring comfortably. That could be one. Buying property, an improved quality of life. You've shared all of those. And for our purposes, I'm going to acknowledge that there is value on both sides of this. When you are talking with potential clients, when you are sharing your business plan with entrepreneurs, or excuse me, with investors, when you are marketing your business, you're going to be focused on the left-hand side here, on the business goal, on changing the world, on solving a problem. That's what your marketing is about. You're not necessarily going to tell them that you've had your eye on that latest model Maserati for the last couple of years. That's probably not what you're going to market, right? But whatever that goal is incredibly important, because that's the one that is the success metric. That is the one that determines whether this business is functioning for you or not. Okay, you can build a business that is solving a problem. And a lot of startups do this, especially in the nonprofit sector. I don't know if we have any nonprofits here, but thank you, Nicole. So in the nonprofit sector, it is very common for a founder to want to solve a societal problem. They create an organization, and then they work 80 hours a week and pay themselves for 5, right? That's just how it works, because they're so passionate about it. They're willing to put in all that extra time. And in the private sector, it can work the same way, where a founder of a business just works and works and works because they want to solve a problem, and they want to see that the problem solved. That said, if the business is not making enough money for them to continue to do that, if it is not allowing them to do what they need to do in their lives, then it's not a successful business. That is the measure of success. So as much as I love Simon Sinek, I will say that it is critical that you understand what you want this business that you are in or going to start, what you want it to do for you financially. Okay, have to know that. In 2 weeks, we're actually going to go through a feasibility calculation, what I call the feasibility quotient, where we're going to take the number that I'm going to ask you to think about and come up with in this discussion, and we're going to plug that into a very simple calculator that it's actually, you could do it on a napkin if you'd like, but it's going to help you determine whether or not your business idea is actually feasible. But you have to be able to come up with a number. So that's why I'm going to focus on the right-hand side. Now, it is critical that you think on the left-hand side as well. This is probably what is fueling you. Many of you said you want to change the world in some way, not in those words, but that's what you were communicating. That is what's driving you personally. Financially, there also is a consideration, something only you can determine what it is. Now, let me back out of this. In the same way that I said earlier that, you know, businesses can take any shape. This success metric, the financial requirement for it to be successful, can also be of any size. As I mentioned earlier, I actually have a team member, maybe I already said this, a team member, and she has a side business. And as all she's doing is, all she wants the business to do is to pay for her supplies and maybe a little bit of her time. That's it. That is the extent of her personal goals associated with the business. As long as it's doing that, that is a successful business. That's her goal. There's a number associated with that. She can assess whether it's working. Okay, your goal might be to buy a large piece of property where you can bring all the kids and grandkids and great grandkids when you have them out in the woods, you know, somewhere down by Bandon, so you can also golf. So you need to figure out what that number is so that you can figure out whether your business can actually get you there, right? That's what this success metric is all about. And the process is pretty simple. This isn't moving. There we go. So you start with your personal goal, convert that into a financial outcome, and then convert that financial outcome into a monthly bottom line. This is your homework for the coming, well, actually, we might have time to have you do that now, but create a personal goal, determine what the financial outcome of that is, and then convert that to a monthly bottom line. And I'll give you a quick example here. So let's imagine I want to put a down payment on a very, very small place over on the coast. So I'm wanting $60,000. I think that that'll do. I'm wrong, but I'm thinking that, that's going to work for me. That in 5 years, if I have $50,000, yeah, maybe it's 3% down instead of 20, right? That I can actually buy a small place on the coast. That's my goal. That's pretty simple. My goal is the down payment. The financial outcome of that is $60,000 5 years from now. That's a really easy number because $60,000 over 5 years is $12,000 a year. Divided by 12 months in the year, it's $1,000 a month. In addition to whatever else the business is doing, if I'm paying myself for my time, it has to cover its cost. In addition to everything else, the business has to leave me with an additional $1,000 that I can put in the bank each month over the next 5 years. Okay, is that math simple enough? Is that easy? Okay, so it is your time. It is your time to think about this. And what I'd like to do is give you just a few minutes to think about that. Just here, I'm going to play some more Strunz and Farah, maybe 3 or 4, 5 minutes. Then I'm going to put you in rooms where you guys can share. You can talk about this, right? So we're going to do the same thing we did with that first round, where you talk about it, and then we will, get you. We'll hear back from you when we're done. I'll respond to Richard. You sent me a private message. I'll respond to you directly. So go ahead and take just 3 or 4 minutes, and then I'll put you in breakout rooms. But I want to give you some time with your own thoughts before then.
Robert, is it all right for me to just speak out loud?
Absolutely.
Okay, so you know, those numbers you threw out, anybody that's ever been to the coast knows that those numbers are unrealistic. But I have an affordable housing plan, and if everything works out, you might be able to invest in something, and that price range might fit. So I just want to let you know. Keep me in mind.
Outstanding. I will do that.
Rick's float homes are going to be to die for, by the way. Floating on the lakes and oh man, the best.
Thank you, Ariel. I'm looking forward to it. And when I'm getting closer. Yeah, I'm getting closer to actually doing this. In fact, I wanted to mention what's going on most currently. I'm currently planning to have a meeting with Dune City, and the Dune City mayor, when I gave my proposal to him, he said that he might want to collaborate with the county and the state because he had a much bigger plan than what even I proposed. So initially I was saying I might be able to do a pre-sale campaign and sell some of the float homes. And he said, how about if Dune City just buys 50 of them? So, I mean, it's like getting, now I'm going to go to their city council meeting and see if I can convince them that this might be a direction for them. Right now, they really don't have a plan to be solvent into the future. And this could be something that would benefit them immensely.
Congrats, that's so exciting. I can't wait to talk offline and learn more. And come over
Yeah, I'm
here.
looking forward to chatting with you. I've got so much going on since the last time I talked to you. And I'm glad everything's starting to kind of pan out now.
Sometimes it takes a while. That's okay. Years, you know? And then we all just come together.
Well, that's one of the things I wasn't able to type out, that one of the things I think is most important about entrepreneurs is to be just tenacity. You have so many people that just say, oh, you can't get there, you're not going to make that. And, you know, I just have to have the attitude, just because you can't get there doesn't mean I'm not going to get there. And I just keep continuing to mitigate concerns and work around the issues that come up and jump fences and go through hoops and put on pony shows, whatever they need, you know, and I'm just continuing to move forward, and it's getting a lot closer to happening.
Awesome. Awesome.
So I'd just like to share with everyone, for some of you, this might be really easy. You know exactly what you need. You've already given that some thought. You might be replacing a current income. So, you know what that number is, and you're just plugging that in. For some of you who have longer term goals, it might be harder. You don't need to be exact. So it is okay in all of these situations. It is okay to just give it your best guess, because frankly, no matter how accurate you are, you're not perfect. Everything is a best guess. So even if you're just ballparking it, that is fine. The important thing is to create a number that you can then use, assess, and adjust as needed. So it's okay to be off. What's critical is to have a number to work with. So I'm actually expecting in the conversations with the small groups that it would surprise me if there's not a considerable conversation with people that are just trying to find a right number, the number that is close, and that's fine. And it is 7:40. I'm going to go ahead and drop you in. Do you think 10 minutes is a good amount with groups of 3, 4, 5, or is that too long?
Too long.
Too long? All right, we'll go 7 minutes. So I'll bring you back out in 7. So here are your rooms. Are you joining, Noel, or are you staying here?
Yeah, and Brandon, you'll have to click a breakout room too if you want.
I think Brandon's a little under the weather, so he might.
I'm not seeing the option to join.
No? Oh, look here. Let's assign you to. Just going to assign you to a room here.
Okay. There we go.
All right.
All right.
It's weird that Zoom is giving me, I had Zoom set it up and I've got a room of 4, of 5, of 5, of 5, of 3, of 4, of 3, and 3. I do not understand how that happens.
Maybe it just magically knows all
Just knows.
the traits and sustainability people together.
Yeah, perhaps.
Yeah, I doubt it. I doubt it.
Got a lot of agrees. That must have been from, oh, I guess that's the Slack. A lot of agrees on the Slack conversation. That's good.
No, that was the video you played about.
Oh,
mine.
was it the video? Okay.
Robert, you're doing a great job managing all of the technology. That we at Brain, we have a team. Like, someone's managing the chat, someone's making sure this works, someone is just like, ah! Someone's doing the breakout sessions, because when the glitches happen, they happen.
Yeah. Yeah, I was really frustrated, and I just need to remember to just watch it on YouTube. But
Those controls.
yeah, that you when trying to play the video on the way that this is set up, Google Slides has its own
I saw that. The
panel,
advanced
and I couldn't get to it. So
annoying.
yeah, it's all right, not a big deal.
Well, luckily everyone could see that, so they knew you weren't fibbing.
So the rest of the weeks are going to be this week. I like the traits conversation. We have to have the entrepreneurship conversation. This one is fairly focused, and I think it can be handled pretty quickly. The rest of the weeks, the content, it'll be 3 different units each week. The content in the rest of the weeks are all a little bit more focused on a single outcome than in week 1, but I think it's fine.
And I like how it's like qualitative and quantitative. Like you get both, so you can work on yourself personal growth wise, and then you can also get a little more technical. So it's
Yeah.
nice balance.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if we have any refusers, those who just refuse to come up with a number.
Yeah.
Wouldn't surprise me if we do, but I'll just need to refuse back.
There you go. Numbers are important.
Yeah. I'm getting to watch these guys while they're playing too. They're just amazing.
Who are they again? I need to write this down.
Strunz, Strunz, and Farah, Farah.
Oh, fun. Wow, it looks like they've been together a long time. I don't know if there was like young pictures and then gray-haired
Yeah.
pictures. Is that the
Yep,
thing?
long time, yep.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I don't know, I don't remember where I came across them, but
Are they brothers or are they both?
no. In fact, one is from, I think Strunz is from Germany and Farah is Mid-Eastern. Yeah.
Welcome back.
Yay, welcome. All right, I will go ahead and close the rooms, give them their 60 seconds. Whoop,
Ever
what
wanted
happened?
a sensation like you're floating on air? You can with
Stop
Skechers'
that.
new Glide Step.
Close all rooms. Clicked on something I shouldn't have.
Yeah, it's easy for people to click leave meeting instead of leave room.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes. Welcome back.
All right.
Hi.
I don't think I have anything more in presentations, so close those down. Make you all big so that I can see more of you. For those of you who got here earlier, there is well, I guess it's for all of you now. There's a Zoom hack that a lot of people don't know about. It's not really a hack, it's just something that people don't know, which is that if you are looking at 25 people on your screen, Zoom actually does have a 49-person option. If your computer can handle it, all you do is go down to the video icon, if it's at the bottom or wherever it is, click video settings, and then scroll down to the bottom of the options, and you can select 49 if it is available for your computer so that you can see more people. All right, so let's hear from you. We've got about 10 minutes left, and what I'd like to hear is from several of you what your goals are and what that financial implication is for you. And if you can break it down to monthly, that'd be awesome. So who would like to share? If I'm going to be calling on people, if you don't, Andrea.
I could share here. So I'm a finance person by day, landscaper by night, I guess. And so our goal is to walk away with our business twofold. Actually, is $250,000 cash, which is the business portion of matching our private work. But that breaks down to about $2,000 a month and some change over the next 10 years.
Okay.
And I think it's achievable.
That's perfect. That is absolutely perfect. Thank you for stepping up. Nicole, I think you were willing.
Yeah, I'll go ahead. So I put my goal as a down payment on a construction loan because I want to build my own house. And I put the goal would be like 20% of 500,000, so 100,000 in 5 years. And that comes out to 1,600 profit per month.
Perfect. Perfect. Others?
I want to be debt free, hopefully within the next 5 years. So, and we want to be able to do world travel instead of just United States travel. So 5 years is for ease sake. So we were talking about 1,800 to 2,000 a month to achieve that within the next 5 years.
Excellent. Again, very good. So is there anyone who just refuses to come up with a number? Joe, are you going to be my problem child here?
I am. Well,
Excellent.
I felt comfort in some of my group because I've kind of let go of a lot of goals and ideas that I had just because my mindset has narrowed so much.
Okay.
And just trying to get through the day and through to the end of the week and then to the end of the next week. So I'm glad that I wasn't the only one that had a little bit of issues coming up with goals. And then I'm not sure really about mixing my personal and business goals because they kind of run together. And so I really like how Nicole shared earlier about building her own house. And that's really inspiring. And the way she broke it down made it really palatable. So I'm like, oh, wow, maybe I need to rethink that, because that was also something of mine that I never really thought about the number part of it, because I'm not a numbers person. So I really appreciate her sharing and breaking that down and like, oh, that's possible. And then same with Jennifer saying, oh, she wants to do the world travel. Like, oh yeah, you know, I can do that. She's rocking and rolling with those goals. So I appreciate that share out. So I'm going to reconsider my numbers.
Excellent. Excellent. I'm glad to hear that. Otherwise, I'm going to have to come out there. All right.
Wait, it looked like Alex, Sensei Alex Stevens.
Alex.
Yeah, I was going to say that I had a super difficult time coming up with some numbers. I suppose I've made a habit of not looking too far ahead and making shorter term goals. Come to the realization with myself that if I set a goal that is too far ahead, then I can't get to it. So I have to make much smaller goals. And really, I just want to be able to teach karate to the adaptive community and pay the bills. And that seems like too small. And I know that, but that's the first step. And so that I just had the hardest time coming up with some numbers.
All right. All right. Okay. Well, let me pipe in here. You actually make a really good point. They actually know brain science again, kind of like Marcus Buckingham is talking about brain science. We know that goals that are more than 3 months out are almost impossible for us to work on. And in fact, there's a whole movement toward what's called the 12-week year, which is, just set your goals for 12 weeks out, for 3 months out, and take your annual goals and just plug them in. You can actually work on goals that are coming up within the next 3 months. But if it's beyond that, it's really hard. So when you have these larger goals, that's the reason we parse them out. We turn them into monthly goals because you can monitor monthly goals. And so that's what you have to do with those longer term goals. So you're absolutely right, Alex. You having those longer term goals is really hard. Certainly almost impossible to manage unless you make them shorter term. In terms of the numbers, I agree and love the lifestyle business model. I want to be able to do this thing and pay the bills. Okay. If that works for you, that is awesome. There's nothing wrong with that. I just want to throw in a couple things. The first one is the word retirement. Okay. If you are paying yourself to get by and you're covering your costs, what happens at the point when you can no longer run the business or choose no longer to run the business? What are you building for yourself there? Now, perhaps you plan to sell the business and the business sale becomes your retirement. Not a bad option, definitely something to consider. That being said, not every business owner, not every person who buys a business actually wants to work in it. So if you own a business, you are both, and you're working in it, which all of you are going to be, you are both an employee, a worker in your business. Even if you're not on a W-2, you are still an employee of the business working in the business. And as an owner, if you want to build a business that is saleable to somebody, as an owner, you should also be paying yourself. There should be additional money coming to you as the owner of your business. So if you think about it, so imagine Joe, somewhere down the road, Joe decides she wants to sell her very fine business out in Florence. She's going to need to be able to show a potential owner that this business is not only paying her a decent amount to live, and if that owner just wants to own and then hire everybody to do the work, that makes sense for them too, that could make sense. So that is just adding some more kind of future thought into what you're doing now. because that might help you come up with a slightly larger number. Right? Any thoughts, questions about that? Yeah, Richard. Oh, I'm sorry. And Richard, go ahead.
Yeah, so actually that was kind of tricky too, because you don't really want to, it's kind of hard to like toot your own horn kind of type thing and say what your goals are. My personal goals is I'd like to be able to pay myself somewhere around $70,000 a year. I'd like to retire in 15 years. And so I need a monthly income of around 6,000. And I think that my plan actually has that in that. And I'm hoping as we go along in the program, we start going through financials, I'm not terribly off on my numbers.
Yeah. So let me talk about financials since we've got a minute here. This course, in this course, we are going to do a basic feasibility calculation where we're going to take the number we've come up with, convert that into a number of units, and just ask, is this feasible? You know, is this something you can legitimately do? If that's a yes, you're good to go, at least from a production standpoint. Then there's some market research that we need to do, figuring out if there's actually a market for your product or for your service. And then a couple weeks later, we're going to be looking at cash budgeting and just taking the numbers and spreading them out over time to see if this is, see how this flows forward. And together you will assess, whether or not your numbers seem to be viable. We're not going to go much deeper into finances than that, but if somebody really wants to, you can sign up for advising on my team, and I've got either myself or a couple other members of my team who'd be happy to work on your financials specifically.
Thank you, Robert. I appreciate that.
You bet. All right. We are coming up on it. Are there any final thoughts or questions from the group tonight? So next week, just to give you a sense of what we're doing, next week, get it straight in my head. Next week, we're going over your business idea. You have started to describe what that is. Next week, we're going to get very explicit. In fact, I've created, as part of this curriculum, a mission statement model that I'm very excited about. Some of you may already have mission statements. You're going to have to set that aside for the class, because I'm going to give you a very specific model for describing your business idea that you can use as a temporary or a startup mission statement, which I think is going to be a lot of fun. So yeah, look forward to seeing you next week for that here again at 6 o'clock. Ariel?
Just a few logistical things. Keep looking out for emails from me. I think all of you managed to get in, so that's great. You found the link, you're here, that's fabulous. And I will also be sending the slides that we just watched and saw through Robert, so you can look that up. And then I also will have the recording. So if you all want the recording, just ask and I can send that to you as well. And then I'm also going to set up a Slack channel. If any of you are familiar with Slack, it's sort of like a communication tool, and I'll have a channel specific to this boot camp so that all of you can stay in touch and talk with each other, and I'll continue to post updates there as well. So there we go.
And you should all have our emails. Don't hesitate to reach out to me if you want to set up meetings or just ask questions. That's why we're here. All right. Thank you, everybody, for a wonderful night.
Thank you so much. Okay, bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Stay cool, everyone.
Bye.